Hi, my name is Darcy Nalder. I'm an artist and an art therapy practitioner. And I started yesterday a project that I'm calling the Gratitude Project. Now, this is July 13th, 2023. And just let me tell you a little bit about what I envision this project as being. So, my goal with the project is to get 1,000 people to use art as a way to connect with abundance and gratitude in their life. This little booklet that you see in the image, where I am putting the title, The Gratitude Project, on the front, is just one that I created and had sitting around my studio, and I thought it would be a good one to start with. It's a project that another time I can do a video on for creating this little booklet. It's made from a 12 by 12 scrapbook sheet of paper. Just one sheet of paper will make this fun little book. As I thought about where to begin with the Gratitude Project, I thought about focus. And the reason that my mind went to focus is because there is a rule or a law or just a fact of life that what we tend to focus on is what is realized in our life. For example, if we have a tendency to complain a lot about the people around us and the things that they're doing that we don't like, that's a form of focus. And we have a tendency to just see a lot of negative stuff about the people around us. But it's also true that if we take a look around and we notice the good things that people are doing, we have a tendency to see more of that. It just is all about how the neural pathways in our brain are solidified. So if we're really practiced at being negative and looking at the negative side, we're going to see that very, very easily. But the converse is true too, that if we practice and cultivate seeing the positive side, we will see more positive things around us. Did you notice that I let the previous video play over and over again? The one where I was making the little label that said focus? That was intentional. It might have been annoying, but it was a visual reminder that this is what happens every single day in our brain. We have this tendency to let our brain just go on autopilot. And so, what does our brain choose as the pathway to think about? The ones that are most well used, the really worn neural pathways, the ones that we focus on and we use all the time. And so, then after a while, we don't even have to think about it very much. And so, your brain just goes on autopilot. And that's where the Gratitude Project comes in. The importance of being purposeful in what we're thinking about and creating those neural pathways that we really want to have there, the ones we really want to be thinking about. That's the purpose and intent behind creating art that that emphasizes joy and gratitude and abundance. Okay, so let's get to the fun part. So get out some paper or just an art journal that you have lying around, something that you would like to create some art in, and pull out your art supplies. These don't have to be fancy, just regular felt pens. You'll notice in this video, I am just using felt pens that I just have sitting around my desk. The first color that I happened to choose was black. To me, that represented those negative thoughts that I'm trying to work on not being the focus in my life, but they're bold and they just happen to be there all the time. And so I'm working to revamp that and have the focus not be so much that, or at least make the focus something that harmonizes with other things going on the page. So I am taking that black and I'm making some lines. And as I go along, you'll notice that I'll pick different colors, and the different colors mean different things to me. They will mean different things to you. So the colors that I chose were blue and then a red. I like how these colors go together on the page, that turquoise with the red, just as something that feels good to me, that makes me happy. So I choose things that make me happy and colors that I like. You can do the same. And I also change up the marks that I'm making. Sometimes I make marks that are just bold lines, and other times I make smaller marks. You just watch along and see how the marks change as I think about different things and as I ponder this idea of what I'm focusing on in my life. So I'm going to turn off my camera for a little bit and not talk and just let you listen to the music, and you can just add in whatever marks you feel intuitively that need to be on your page. You don't have to make yours exactly like mine. In fact, don't just make yours like mine, make it your own and just enjoy the process of putting marks on the page. When I got to the place where I felt like I had enough marks on the page and I didn't need any more of the mark making, I looked around my desk for other sources of art supplies. I keep a little box beside my desk that has just a collection of scraps of this and that, and the first thing that jumped out at me was the book page. And so I am just playing around with putting these other elements on the page, making layers. Each layer to me represents all the different learning and the things that I have gained over the years, and how my perspective changes as I add these other layers and these things that I learn. So just look around and get out a glue stick and put some other kinds of things on the page. It can be something that you cut out of junk mail or that you just have lying around. Remember that little focus label that I made at the beginning of the video? Well, now I'm just deciding where it needs to go on the page. And I felt like the perfect place for it was that little tab on the right side. Here I'm just cutting out the sentiment that I chose to use for this project. Now, ahead of time, I did print out a sentiment. I thought about what I wanted the sentiment to be, and there was really a very loose plan of what this page would look like in this little booklet. I had the sentiment, I had the idea of focus, and just the idea of using very simple tools and simple papers and things that I had around my desk, just using up supplies I had, not using anything super fancy. That was my plan to begin with. And now it's coming together. I'm playing with the different elements and just trying to put it on the page in a way that's pleasing to me. But also at the same time, I'm thinking about what I'm grateful for. And in this case, the sentiment is I'm grateful for the people in my life. And so I used that sentiment. Some people are a little bit shy about putting their own handwriting in the page. I think it's actually a really good thing to do that because it humanizes it, it connects it to you, and that energy of you on the page really comes out when it's your handwriting. But in this case, I chose to print it out in just a fun font on my computer. After I cut out my sentiment and I laid it out on the page, I felt like it was still not quite what I wanted it to be. I felt like something was missing, and so I thought that I should look around for adding more layers. So that's what I'm doing here now, is adding more layers. And then as I just trusted the process and trusted my instinct on that, I noticed something kind of magical beginning to happen on the page. And that is that all my layers and all my elements on the page were turning into a garden. I was starting to have these little flowers that just were popping up all over the place. And to me, that represents all the different people in my life. The little cute red flowers down in the corner reminded me of my grandchildren and the cute little pictures that they draw me of flowers and things like that. And then other flowers just kind of fit the personality of other people in my life. And I thought, that's really interesting how those flowers just kind of happened. I had not intended to do that before I started. But I did have an art instructor in one of my art therapy classes say to us one time that the art never lies. And I've really come to know that's true, that your art that you create is a signature. It's something that you create that's uniquely part of you. And it is very much like your handwriting, how your handwriting is unique to you. Well, your art that you create is unique to you as well. And the art never lies. Art will tell you what you're feeling, even when you can't put words to what that is. And I use lots of different art techniques to kind of investigate that and explore it. And in this case, my art turned into this garden that I'm quite happy with. This next part of the project, I'm just doodling. I'm just doing whatever feels like is the next thing that should happen on the page. And for me, doodling is always something that I like to add little details and just play around. It's really nice to just have some downtime where you can give yourself permission to just play on the page and just do whatever feels like should be next. Doodling is something that has been researched and shown to be very therapeutic. It helps people to relax, it helps relieve anxiety. Doodling is something that I would encourage everybody to engage in on a regular basis. Here's a little art tip for you. Something that just makes our art look more pleasing and that our eye just likes to see is that we repeat color. Now, that's not a hard and fast rule because you will see a painting or a picture that has all one color and then one bold red or something like that that will become a focal point on that page. But in general, though, when you're just creating art on a page like we're doing in this project, if you have one color, it's a good idea to repeat it again somewhere else on the page. And up on the left-hand corner of this page, I have some green on some washi tape that was already on the page before I started the project today. And so I'm looking for a way to introduce green again, and it makes sense to use the green again in the leaves and the stems of the flowers that happen to be created on the page. I also repeated the pink for the same reason. I used it as little dots and little accents throughout the page because it was up there in that washi tape as well. So just a little tip for something to make your art more exciting and just a little more pleasing to look at. So we're almost done with this project. We just have to put the sentiment on the page. And so that's what I am working on here. I felt like there needed to be a little darker background color since the sentiment I had it printed on a white paper. And I I just felt that would help it stand out a little bit more if there was a little darker background. The background seemed a little too much the same tint when I placed it on the page initially. And so I added in some tissue paper that happens to be some Christmas tissue paper. But I feel like once I get it on the project, you really don't notice that it's some poinsettias from Christmas wrapping paper. But anyway, that is the reason that I put it behind there, was just to help that sentiment pop a little bit. And so then the project is wrapping up, and now it is something that I look at and it really makes my heart happy as I consider how all of these elements came together. You might be concerned about how things got covered up, and I see that as okay. Covering up things and initial things on the page doesn't change the process of getting to the finished project. The covering up things is part of growth, it's part of change, it's part of developing. And so I see that all as a positive thing and something that can help me to let go of feeling like I have to keep everything, that I can't change anything at all, that I've got to keep it all. I just think it's a healthy thing to let that happen organically on the page. And so I'm so very grateful for all the really good people in my life. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button because it helps me to be able to continue to provide free content for everyone. And also for those who put a comment in the comment section or share your art, it might feel too personal to share it, but if you are brave and want to share your art, I love to see it. And for all the people that do that, I will send you a free download of a watercolor painting that I created. So it's just something as my little thank you for coming and joining me today, and it's something that you could use in your art projects in the future.